you. But I have to correct you first and foremostly, I am not a businessman. I am a lawyer, a full-time practicing lawyer. And I do hold a number of seats in non-executive capacity, but essentially I practice law on a day-to-day basis, mainly in the area of commercial law. So when I was asked to come here and represent my professional guild, I felt that perhaps we could contribute something useful. I just hope that we can. We have made some gains for certain, and as has already been said to us by the representative of Mr. Laporte, there have been recently some legislation that has brought into play reforms. And the reforms have essentially been in the area of reducing what is perceived as heavy red tape, cost, and time in terms of establishing a business. Now, establishing a business essentially would fall into two categories. A sole proprietorship, which is very simple, single enterprise run and owned by an individual, and a private company. From our point of view, we would say that the setting up of private companies has been vastly improved upon, okay? The time taken to establish a company has been reduced, we are told, because certain formalities have been dispensed with, and it's essentially far simpler. So you no longer have, for instance, to have your regulations, because the regulations are set up for you and automatically applied. You no longer need a certificate to commence business. A number of the forms have been dispensed with, and the minimum capital requirement for local companies has also been dispensed with. So essentially, it should be easier for applicants to go through the process. Be that as it may, what I have observed in my practice, and this applies not only to setting up businesses, but also to registering land, if you're selling land, or if you're buying land, is there is an underlying lack of transparency with process, which I think we probably need to keep our eyes on if we really want to improve the ease of doing business. It was mentioned, it was touched upon very briefly in the opening speech, the word transparency. But I think we need to put a little bit more emphasis on that. It's one thing to say that you want to reduce regulation, and it's another thing to say that you want people who go through the process to be clear about it so that they know what their entitlements are and what the timelines through it are. Because we believe from the Bar Association, as the Guild of Commercial Lawyers who try to help people in the establishment of business, that it is very often not so much the regulation that is complex, but more the people who drive the regulatory process, who enjoy making it appear to be complex and monetizing that opportunity in the forms of dashes and what we call dashes and bribes or unofficial payments and fees. And if you do not keep an eye on enhancing the clarity and the transparency of process, then no matter how much you simplify regulation and official charges, you will not necessarily get to the goal of easing business and improving the ease of doing business overall. So perhaps the time is right for us to start looking at pushing also policy objectives to achieve the outcomes, and not just looking at dismantling or simplifying regulation alone. I'm sure that if we did that, and the rights of investors are known to the investors themselves, then their expectations in terms of how to achieve an efficient establishment of their business and their goals would be closer within their grasp. So I wonder whether maybe anybody has something to say about that. Policy also involves, when we talk of transparency, some of the processes which are now being automated and taken out of the hands of individuals, and the ability that gives an applicant to go online, see what the fee is, pay the fee, and in a minimum period of time get the acknowledgement from an internet payment settlement system, have a receipt, and know that their rights to establish something or pay something and be registered has been achieved online. So I think those policy observations should be very much emphasized alongside reducing and simplifying regulation.